Hello and welcome into the behind the scenes here at Computer America. We start this up a little bit early just to give all of our networks a chance to connect and do whatever it is they do on their end. But just want to let anyone know that if they're
One
listening to this
minute
early or
until
they're listening
showtime.
to the archive of the show later on YouTube, that today on the show we have no scheduled guests. Instead, we will dedicate the whole show this Friday, make it a very relaxing Friday as we talk all about computer and technology news. And that can range in anything from new gadgets to, instead of, of course, new gadgets, new discoveries, new inventions, new technology, and of course, things of business, and of course, surveillance. So we have a little bit of everything, and we have topics including how Argentina, something that you would really wonder why this hasn't happened to to a lot of other countries out there, and they are just instituting e-voting, all things. So, yeah, looking forward to that, and much
Your
more
show
here
will go
on
live
the
in
Computer
5
America
seconds.
Show.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. It is the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. I am your host, Ben Crossman, and yeah, I'm so glad that all of you have come here to join us today to talk all about computers and what they do for our lives and how maybe, just maybe, we can use technology to help us. And so I don't do this often, but if you're a first-time listener, or if you are new in any regard to the Computer America Show, Computer America is dedicated to bringing really good interviews and also informing our audience of late breaking tech news and things that they should know, while also providing helpful advice on how to use the technology around you in everyday means. So between new projects, so between new products, between new news, and between just helping everyone with anything they could possibly have, we hope that Computer America can be your home for anything from tech support to topics that you want to talk about to anything that's bugging you. We hope to talk it all out here on Computer America. And during today's show, we normally have a guest on, but we're going to play it a little bit more low key today, as we are going to do everything computer and technology news. Of course, brought to you by Slimware Utilities. And yeah, this news is again all of the latest tech, all of the latest news. We have a lot of different ones, and we have plenty of time to do it. So I think we're going to jump into it. But before we do, I just want everyone to know out there that because it is Friday, we have a show reminder winner of the week. And that, no, not show reminder winner. That is an old time thing. No, instead it's a social media winner of the week. And the social media winner of the week, all you have to do is go to our Facebook page, go to our Twitter page, go to our YouTube page, go to our Google Plus page, anywhere on social media that you can find Computer America. Go there, like, subscribe, follow. It helps us out, and it helps you out by allowing you to be entered into our contest that we will be giving away every single Friday, a prize from our friends over at Logitech. And of course, this prize, we are currently giving away a product called Keys to Go, which is a very, very thin, very, very nice feeling looking, and of course, very, very intelligent keyboard that can last multiple years on a single charge, or I think up to like 3 months with under normal use on one charge. Very, very portable, very, very easy to use. And again, it's about a $70 value. We are going to be giving away one of those today live on the show. And the way to enter, as I said before, was to follow Computer America on social media. And with that being said, if you have any questions about today's show, if you have any if you like any links to what we talk about here, please feel free to head on over to computeramerica.com, and you will find the show notes for today's show. And those show notes will include links, they will include topics, they will include everything that we do here on the Computer America Show, and all in a very convenient place, so that if you want to write something down or if you want to remember something, we'll have it all good to go right there in the show notes. We try to make that really easy for you. And with that being said, I think we're just going to jump right into the news, because there is so much of it to cover. I already have, I want to say, about 15 stories picked out. And, they all range from, what they cover, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So here we go, computer and technology news. And as I said before, computer and technology news is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. Clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system using Slimware Utilities. Check them out at slimwareutilities.com. Now, why don't we start off with our good friends over at Amazon? And I say good friends, they do not pay us, they do not do anything, but I will say that Amazon Prime is kind of that one thing that just keeps getting better and better the longer you keep it. And I've been an Amazon Prime member for years and years, just because I really do like that 2 year. 2 day would be atrocious. 2 day free shipping. Very, very convenient and well worth the cost on its own. And of course, it's only getting better. I mean, I just found out that a couple years ago, Amazon bought a company called Twitch, or a website or a web service called twitch.tv. And they stream video games and things like that. Never really thought much of it. Everyone said that Amazon was going to come in and ruin it. Honestly, Amazon didn't do anything for years and years. They just kind of sat on their acquisition and allowed Twitch to, kind of more fully develop on its own. And then, lo and behold, just found this out a couple days ago, that you can now integrate your Twitch account, your twitch.tv account, with your Amazon Prime membership. And when you do that, you get some perks, you get some special swag and notification on Twitch, and you get to subscribe to a streamer once a month, absolutely free. And it's that's like a $5 value in itself, but of course you also get to support your favorite streamer. Again, it's just kind of one of those little added goodies that Amazon is making sure that Prime is really something that you want to hang on to. And the more services that they can integrate Prime into, I think is, the more you start feeling like, wow, what a good investment. And I know personally, I definitely feel that. So this article comes from Engadget, Mr. Daniel Cooper. And yet another one. And this is only going to be in select areas, but it's something I haven't even tried yet. I definitely do pantry, but this is a service called Amazon Fresh. And Amazon makes food delivery cheaper for Prime members, saying that Amazon Fresh is now $15 a month if you're already paying for Prime. And again, that seems to be one of those. It seems to be one of those things where Amazon, if you already have Prime, they're not going to say, oh, you're already paying for Prime, so whatever, you get like a one-time thing. No, they want you to keep doing the subscription service, but then they also have these little goodies. Now, this one, admittedly, you do have to tack on $15 a month on top of your Prime, but that is in lieu of a $300 a year flat rate, which it used to be. So they're saying that Amazon has cut the price of Amazon Fresh membership down to just $15 a month, as long as you also subscribe to Prime. For that, you'll be entitled to unlimited grocery deliveries in the locations where the service operates, which, again, just looking at it, large cities, so Boston, Seattle, and San Francisco. It makes the business effectively a bolt-on for Amazon's paid tier, which has developed substantially in the last few years. Users will be able to save a little bit of cash, which, again, it used to be $300 for the whole year, which my math is pretty bad, but that works out to about $25 a month instead of the now $15 a month. So you save about $100. It's like, you save about $120 a year if you are a Prime member already. So that should help beat back competition from traditional retailers like Walmart and Target, who are trying to catch up on this whole tech-based delivery lark from a standing start. And they even have a picture there, and of course, where better to announce a new service than through Twitter? But they've done it, and yeah, it's unlimited grocery delivery. It just got even easier, saying that Amazon Fresh is now $15 a month, and again, it's exclusive to Prime members. So yeah, if you live in a major city and this is around near you, again, I've used Amazon Pantry. I can't say enough about the service. Amazon Pantry, just things that that you kind of need, and between paper towels and potato chips, and yes, even sodas and things like that. I mean, they make it super super simple. I cannot see a future that does not include regular grocery delivery to my front door. Like, that is, I think, going forward, going to be just common. I think once people give it a try and they see it doesn't cost them that much more, or even it's the same price, and then you get the added benefit of shopping around, coupon clipping, what have you, and instead you get to order it just like you do computer parts or whatever it is you buy online. They're really really going to enjoy it. And then Amazon Fresh is just another one. So unfortunately, I don't live in one of these areas that actually has Amazon Fresh, but hey, fresh food delivered to your front door. I've tried it with Blue Apron, worked out really well, and I'm sure they have their own, kind of method. But yeah, fresh food to your door. I cannot see a downside at all. But something that I can see a downside of potentially is, of course, China. Wow, that came off pretty xenophobic. But no, China has a private space industry that prepares to compete with SpaceX and Blue Origin. Now, this is interesting because obviously SpaceX and Blue Origin, they're just getting off the ground. No pun intended. But yeah, no, they're just getting off the ground, and the ultimate goal is not only space industry, like asteroid mining, or delivering astronauts to the International Space Station, what have you. Private enterprise going into space is nothing new, but the only thing that that I think the whole private space industry has been counting on is the idea of space tourism. And space tourism is, of course, you pay a certain amount of dollars, a couple thousand, as opposed to what I'm sure is millions upon millions of dollars to snag. Well, I've never even heard of a situation where someone bought their way into space, but they want space tourism to be a thing, and they want it to cost in the neighborhood of a few $1,000s or even a few $100s instead of just unattainable. So again, with with SpaceX and Blue Origin, they've started, but when China enters the race, they're very very good at at jumping into these industries. We saw this with solar panels. Solar panels actually took a 25% hit just because the Chinese flooded the market with solar panels. So when they enter something, like, they enter it in a big way. And this is from a publication called Popular Science, Mr. Jeffrey Lin. And yeah, he's saying that in the US, much of the recent media attention to space travel is centered on the activities of flamboyant billionaires and private companies. And left out, though, is the fact that, like in much of the rest of the global business, a new generation of Chinese commercial and tourist space endeavors are looking to compete as well. So they're saying that one of the more intriguing of China's emerging commercial space launch companies is X-Space. They're saying, it says SpaceX, but X-Space. But yeah, so founded in February, the firm will be the lead tenant in China's first commercial space industry park in Wuhan, China. It has already signed up over 10 launches for its solid fuel rockets. And the chairman is also a deputy director of the 4th Academy of the China Aerospace Science and Industry Corporations, which makes the rockets themselves. So yeah, they're saying that the rocket, which is derived from the launch vehicle for Chinese anti-satellite weapons and mid-course missile defense interceptors, just the thing that you want launching you into space. But okay, I'm sure they can avoid objects just as well as they can hit them. And they're saying it's a solid fueled two diameter rocket where the latest KZ-11 can loft a 1.5-ton payload to low Earth orbit at the cost of about $10,000 per kilogram. And of course, X-Space's target is to launch small satellites for domestic and foreign customers. And saying that the solid fuel also means that compared to liquid fueled rockets, it can be launched on demand. And yeah, the article goes on for a bit, showing some of the showing some of the diagrams and the cost that it takes. And they're saying that of course, judging by these hybrid these hybrid space planes that they're developing, and of course the solid fuel compared to liquid fuel, and the cost per kilogram that they are showing, versus traditional and what they have developed, they, like, again, it just started in February and they're just starting. But if the numbers that they're putting forth are anywhere near accurate, that means that they can get into low Earth orbit for about half the cost per kilogram, so than traditional rockets. And when you have something come into the marketplace like that can be so much more cost efficient. Cost efficiency is the name of the game for SpaceX and Blue Origin. They're both trying to use reusable rockets. And yeah, if you can get that going, if costs can get down there enough, then it's not just, oh, well, the only thing that makes sense to send up is for large corporations, satellites, or the International Space Station refueling supplies, or scientists. If you get that low enough, heck, you could start sending up people, or you could start sending up other things that would let you get into space without having to, of course, go through NASA or one of these other large corporations or organizations. It's very exciting. And again, when China does it, sometimes it's really, really, really cost effective. They do a good enough job that it cuts the cost of competing technologies. We see this in computers every single day. We see it in solar cells and things like that every day. But when you take something as ambitious as low Earth orbit, or just space anywhere, really, not the easiest thing in the world. So if they can do it, good for them. But it's going to be a challenge. Make no mistake. So yeah, hope that works out well for them. And the idea of a private space industry jumping, or at least coming to market, was something that I would have never guessed, that private industry would spring up tremendously around the idea of getting to space, again, without a government organization, without Russia, without the US, but rather operating within these. So very, very interesting. Yeah, so let's move from that story, and we're going to move on over to this one. And while not as exciting as a space race between the US and China and Russia, it affects probably more people, or at least it affects people in a more down-to-earth sense. In that Comcast, many of you may use them for your internet provider, and they tried something a little while ago. They said it was only in select markets to see how, gauge the reaction. And I guess the reaction was positive on their end, or was not negative enough on their end. But it turns out it's going to expand. And this is from Ars Technica, Mr. John Brodkin, saying that Comcast gets closer to nationwide data caps with expansion in 18 different states. With no real technical necessity, but parts of 18 states will get capped by November 1st. And yeah, so hopefully none of you are going to see this message saying that Xfinity users have used close to 1 terabyte of their monthly data plan, and saying that they have only a certain amount left. And again, this is not for a cell phone. I think we've all received them for our cell phones, but hopefully you never get one for your home internet, where again, you get lots and lots of things, where you stream Netflix, where you stream, where you go on sites all the time, where you stream video from YouTube, where you do this, that, or the other. It's pretty easy to hit 1 terabyte, and then, something that you would feel would be unlimited, which in all technical aspects it should be. Instead, you will be paying $10 for each additional 50 gigs that you kind of browse over 1 terabyte per month. That's just crazy. That's just crazy. And of course, Comcast is bringing data caps to a bunch of new cities, again, beginning November 1st, roughly doubling the number of markets where it imposes data limits and overage fees. Saying that as before, customers will be allowed to use 1 terabyte of data per month before being hit with overage charges of $10 a month. Of $10 for each additional 50 gigs. Saying that for an additional 50 gigs per month, customers can purchase unlimited data, which again has traditionally what home internet has been, unlimited. And for whatever reason, I say for whatever reason, what I know is really kind of a cash thing, but now you have to pay for the privilege of something that was always a feature. So prior to the expansion, Comcast said that it was enforcing data caps in 14% of the markets in its 39-state territory. And instead of immediately imposing caps nationwide, Comcast began to steadily roll them out to new markets since 2012, and usually adding a few at a time and gauging customer feedback before expanding to more. Where the caps were originally 300 gigs a month, but as more customers started exceeding them, they were boosted to 1 terabyte. And Comcast said that more than 99% of its customers use less than a terabyte of data. So, markets in 18 states will face data caps and overage fees for the first time, though other markets in some of these states were already capped. And they have a list here of all of the different, places that are about to get their data that are about to get their internet connections capped. And it's actually interesting. We just moved from an office in West Palm up to Asheville, North Carolina, and turns out that West Palm, Florida, is actually on the list. So hey, interesting to see that, but dodge that bullet. But for everyone else, they have places in Alabama, California, Colorado, Florida, like I said, New Mexico, Ohio, Oregon. 13 different states, and it says only in very specific parts of these states in some cases, even just specific cities. But hey, it's a lot more places, and if you bet that they're rolling it out in 13 more states, it won't be long. It will not be long before they roll it out to all of their markets. This is a very, very good indication of what is to come, and in Comcast's mind, data caps, data rates are going to be everywhere. So, and they even gave a list of other areas that already had data caps in those areas. And, again, look like much of the ones that they were going to roll it out in, and then some. So Comcast once again justified its data caps, saying in a blog post yesterday that the data plans are based on principles of fairness. Those who use more internet pay more, and those who use less internet pay less. When in reality, paying less actually means paying the same amount as before, unless you choose a flexible data plan that provides $5 discount if you use less than 6 gigs of data a month, which, $5 for promising to only use 6 gigs of data a month. That is like a non-internet user, and yet you still have one to check your email. That is an unrealistic expectation of amount of data that a person uses in a month. Saying that discount comes with the risk of racking up overage fees much faster than the standard terabyte plan, and thus isn't advisable unless you really use very little data each month. Awful. So the caps themselves, and of course the caps themselves are business policy rather than a technical necessity, a Comcast engineer vice president acknowledged last year, saying that unfortunately Comcast data meter hasn't been accurate, and Comcast has been reluctant to acknowledge any problems except when customers contact the media. And that's something that has popped up more and more. Comcast, they are making you pay like that 1 terabyte. They measure everything from the ads that are served to you, not really against your will, but that's just how some people make their revenue. But yeah, you're getting like ads get charged to that 1 terabyte, streaming video, of course, and really a lot of like just very, very basic things. Not only that, but as I said before, the way that they meter how much data you actually use can be completely different than what your side of your system reads. It's and yeah, they only rely on theirs, which at times can be inaccurate. Not the best way. And then on top of that, of course, the worst part of it is that it's not a principle of fairness. Sure, people may be using it more than others, but at the same time, there's no real need. Like it's not like a limited resource. Sure, you can only have a certain amount of bandwidth, and sure, at nights it make it a little laggy when everyone goes home and turns on Netflix, but it's not a limited resource where you're going to run out of internet. You're not going to, bandwidth may be throttled a bit, and that of course can be completely handled through throttling bandwidth at peak times. But at 3 a.m. when some people are using lots of data and others are asleep and using absolutely no data, and you're being charged for using data in off-peak times just because you're over your 1 terabyte, like it's not a limited resource that has to be rationed out and then charged for more. It's just something that happens. And if anything, it's more of a routing problem on the server side, on your internet provider side, than it is a usage of other customers on that network. Like if anything, it's poor network management that causes these slowdowns than it is other people using too much internet. But if you call a spade, it's a money grab. It's an extra $10 for every 50 gigabytes that you use. And if you use a terabyte, that's 20, it's 20 $10 extras. And then for each 1/20th of your internet that you use, if you're using over 1 terabyte, then you're probably going to easily blow past an extra 50 gigs, in that 1 month period. So if you have Comcast and you know that you use a lot of internet, if you stream a lot, if you know that you upload a lot, if you know that you download a lot of files and stuff like that, if you do that from a home connection and you have Comcast, it might be worth going out and checking to make sure that you are not in one of these areas that now has newly imposed data caps. Not good. And again, the worst part for us here at Compute America is exactly the fact that it is not a technological necessity. Like there's really no reason other than they want money for this. So yeah, not good. But at any rate, we continue on here. I think we have time to start one more story before we cut to commercials, and then after we get back from commercials, just to remind everyone, we are going to be giving away a prize from Logitech for our social media winner of the week. So be sure to get your entrance in. We already have the winner picked out, so don't bother now. But going forward, we do this every single Friday, and this is how it goes. So yeah, let us choose. How about this story? And this is a battle that I really feel like is never going to stop until one side goes away. And the two sides, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, the two sides do not appear to be going away anytime soon. It's a new technology disrupting a market, and no matter how convenient one is, the other is so ingrained that there's going to be growing pains. And of course, we're talking about in Philadelphia, birth of the nation. Court orders Uber, Lyft to stop operating in the city. Yes, Philadelphia has banned Uber and Lyft, saying that the two transportation companies don't plan on complying anytime soon. So this is from Engadget, Mr. Billy Steele, saying that ride-hailing companies Uber and Lyft deal with legal and regulatory issues all the time. But it's starting to get real in Philadelphia, where a common pleas court judge ordered the two companies to stop operating in the city yesterday, but both are still offering rides to customers today. And Engadget has confirmed via the apps that both Uber and Lyft that the services are still up and running in Philly. So the injunction comes on the heels of a lawsuit that was filed by taxi drivers against the Philadelphia Parking Authority back in July, saying that the suits argue that equal protection were not provided for all operators of the city's car services. It also says that the ride-hailing services aren't required to adhere to the American with Disabilities Act like taxis do, so people with disabilities aren't being offered the same options. So neither Uber or Lyft were named as defendants in that suit. So Lyft said that the hearing that led to the ban didn't involve the company and it wasn't given the chance to respond to the proceedings. Saying that Lyft was not given any notice or opportunity to be heard on this issue before Wednesday's ruling, saying that they are appealing and that the people in Philadelphia want access to ride sharing, and we remain committed to finding a statewide solution that keeps this modern option available across the state. I can't agree more. This is a fight that has been happening for quite a while and will continue to happen for quite a while. But we're going to wrap up the story here on the other side of the break and move on to others. But Uber and Lyft always catching crap from cab companies. They definitely do not like the competition. So here we have more, and of course our social media winner of the week coming up in just a few minutes. So stay tuned here on Computer America.
Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission of Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is to help build a sustainable, no-kill community where no dogs or cats are ever killed for population control, where true euthanasia is reserved only for animals who are irremediably suffering or for animals who are truly a threat to society and with no hope of rehabilitation. Brother Wolf's staff and volunteers go door to door, neighborhood by neighborhood, to educate citizens about local resources available for at-risk pets and to help their families connect with those resources. Brother Wolf's community-based approach to no-kill helps keep family pets healthy, happy, and in their homes and out of the local shelter system in the first place. For more information or to make a tax-deductible donation to this wonderful 501c3 organization, visit their website at www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
Sorry, gender-neutral connectors just can't be AC/DC. Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Intermatic Dual-Tech Motion Sensor. It looks a little like a smoke alarm, but it really houses a PIR, that's passive infrared motion sensor, that can cover 1,600 square feet, plus an ultrasonic motion sensor that can cover 1,000 square feet, plus an ambient light sensor, and you have ways to adjust the sensitivity of all three. It's made for wiring into AC power and selectively powering a load like a light or a motor when either or both you choose of the motion sensor's triggers and when the ambient light level you set is appropriate. You can also set between 5 seconds and half an hour how long the load remains powered when it triggers. So bottom line, the Intermatic Dual-Tech Motion Sensor can bring automation to any room, battery-free. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 33 minutes past the hour as we continue on here doing computer and technology news all day. Yeah, it's going to be a very relaxing Friday as we continue on here. And before we get back to Uber and Lyft being banned from working in Philadelphia. So, of course, that's going to affect millions who, of course, live and work in Philadelphia. But yeah, it's we have a social media winner of the week. Yeah, and again, to enter that and how this person won, all you have to do is go to computeramerica.com and you have to go to our social media. It's all over the page. Go to Google Plus, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, what have you. Go find us somewhere in social media, give us a follow, give us a like, and we have one of our interns run around and just pick one from any of the old or new or recent or long-time subscribers to the Computer America Show. And yeah, we give them away a great prize from our friends over at Logitech. And again, if you want to see what prize is on the line, you can just type into Google Keys to Go by Logitech, and it will pop right up. So today's winner for the prize, and let's see if we can do this right. There we go. Check that out. Now, today's winner is... Yeah, I have no idea how to do the simple crash. But today's winner is Mr. Richard Robertson. Wait. I did not do that. I did not do that right at all. Mr. Richard Robertson. There we go. That worked. That worked a little bit. There we go. All right. So yeah, Mr. Richard Robertson, who listens to us in Midland, Pennsylvania. And yeah, he did not leave us a comment, but very, very simply, he, you do not need to leave a comment. We just like reading them. But he won just that simply. And again, all you have to do is head on over to computeramerica.com and follow us on social media. So congratulations, Richard Robertson. We will, yeah, there we go. And yeah, we will get, we will send your information over to Logitech. Just by, we'll contact you. He already sent it over, and we will forward it over to, we'll forward it over to Logitech, and they will send it out right away. Very, very simply. So I think we are going to continue on with computer and technology news. So once again, congratulations, Richard. Expect your prize here in the next few weeks. And hey, maybe next week it could be any of you listening. All you have to do is go do that. And now let's continue on saying that the statement to Engadget, who again this article comes from, saying that Uber said it plans to remain operational in Philadelphia during the appeals process, saying that while our appeal is pending at the Commonwealth Court, Uber will remain active for all riders and drivers, saying that this situation makes it clear that Harrisburg needs to act. Pennsylvania must have a permanent statewide ride-sharing legislation as soon as possible. So, while the two companies wait on the decision, it appears to be business as usual for while the legal process plays out. Both Uber and Lyft face other regulatory battle in Pennsylvania in a few days as the state legislature plans to discuss ride-hailing apps later this month. And it looks like there's no end in sight, and the battle is going to go on, but there is always a huge, huge, huge hubbub whenever there is a very well-known, well-ingrained, cab or other industry that Uber or Lyft competes with. They, it is not an easy thing to break into. And hey, it's when you're that ingrained and you're used to doing it a certain way, there really isn't any reason to give that up so easily. So they, like they said, they're used to this kind of thing. They're used to being fought against. But I think the people have overwhelmingly decided that, well, not overwhelmingly because the cab industry is still in business, but the option to have ride sharing is much, much preferred than not having one. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out. Now, let's move over to this next one, and this is one that you can find in the show notes here. This is a very, very interesting article because it's something that I know personally I've wanted for quite a while because I'm a lazy person. But it's happening in Argentina, And this is why it may not be such a good thing when it's implemented like this. So this is from TechDirt saying that Argentina not only wants to bring in e-voting, it will make it illegal to check the system for electoral fraud. And earlier this year, we wrote about Australia's refusal to allow researchers to check e-voting software being used in that country. The situation in Argentina seems to be even worse, saying that Access Now provides the background, saying that the ruling party in Argentina is driving the adoption of an electronic voting system for national elections. Despite stern warnings from computer security experts about the dangers of the system, the ruling party is persistent with the project and plans to put it to a vote in Congress in the coming weeks. So while this publication's readers hardly need to be reminded about the deeply flawed nature of e-voting systems, and of course there's saying that imposing an e-voting system may be foolish, but Argentina plans to manage to magnify that folly many times over. And they even have someone named Javier Smaldone explains why, saying that the proposal provides for imprisonment 1 to 6 years for conducting activities that are essential to any audit on independent review of the system. Thus, it is intended to impose the use of the computer system in the casting and counting of votes, and as if it were not already extremely difficult for any citizen to be sure if it works, anyone who tries to find out is punished with imprisonment. Awful. So it's one of those things. It's one thing to bring an e-voting system that most experts say is a bad idea in theory, but making it effectively illegal to point out flaws that exist in practice is really asking for trouble. So unless this proposed law is changed to allow independent scrutiny in the system, Argentina will probably find out the hard way. And yeah, not a good thing to. And while admittedly, I don't have access to the original. The original is in Spanish, and I don't know why this plan was put in there. I don't know if this was another case of the legislative heads have decided that this would be a good thing. While let's face it, sometimes politicians don't have a firm grasp of the technology behind what it is they're legislating on. So maybe part of what they designed to be, provide the proposal provides for imprisonment. That was pretty hard to say, but yeah, the proposal provides for imprisonment. Maybe something that they thought was someone having access to the files and and maybe potentially accessing them without permission or something along those lines, or even accessing the raw data would, maybe they classify that as illegal when in actuality, obviously it shouldn't be if you need to audit it, but just the wording and the language that they used, maybe that's why it felt a little more, poorly thought out than some of the other implementations of e-voting. It's really mixing technology and electronics, and just this whole idea of, really technology is not well understood, I think, by the masses, let alone by those who are not technically minded, and very, very few politicians are technically minded, so, or even technologically inclined. I mean, some of the most draconian technology bills that have been put through in the United States in the past couple of years have been put through by a senator who, or at least been proposed by a senator who I believe is like 82 years old. And again, not to take anything away from 82-year-old, people, and not to say that they can't be, very, technologically savvy, but when you're not a career computer hobbyist, when it's not your career, when it's not your hobby, when it's not your passion, when it's not something that you pay attention to, sit down with an 82-year-old who just uses it maybe occasionally or even not at all. And you'll see that for them to propose legislation on an entire country and all these different companies that are using technology in different ways, we saw this with I won't say Feinstein, but that's probably not the Democratic senator from California, I believe. It's not a good thing. And technology moves so fast, whereas legislation and the law moves so slow. When you mix them, you're obviously oil and water. They're not going to mix well, and even if they do mix, it's going to be spotty all over. So yeah, we'll see what happens in Argentina. Argentina, I guess they've had a lot of good movements lately, but they're not exactly known for never having corruption in politics. So if there was ever an easier way to have corruption and have it unchecked, it's to implement e-voting, and then of course make it illegal to check how e-voting works behind the scenes. It's yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. We'll keep an eye on it. But of course, they've yeah, it seems like they're really, or it's the ruling party, and that's the worst part. The majority definitely want to put this in, and it's either to remain in power or whatnot. But yeah, the promise of e-voting promises a lot. It's just it has to be done right, and I don't think Argentina has been doing it right. So with that being said, I think we are going to go over to, how about this one from Engadget? And, we're going to jump from Argentina to just a hop, skip, and a leap, like 2 countries over, I think, to Russia. And yes, that was sarcasm, but U.S. catches Russian spies that are shipping military technology to the motherland. So 3 men found a bogus tech startup, tried to buy components for weapon systems, and then they tried to ship them back home. And this is from Daniel Cooper from Engadget. And yeah, this one is one crazy, crazy story. So yeah, it's so they're saying that, of course, we got some good things out of the Cold War, like James Bond, but overall, it was a pretty miserable period in history. So that's why it's so disappointing to see Russia trying to bring us back to those dark times with its latest attempt at ham-fisted espionage, saying that the DOJ, the Department of Justice, has announced that an American and 2 Russians have been arrested on suspicion of running a scheme to swipe military technology. Swipe or no swiping. And according to a statement, the trio posed as a U.S. electronic startup in order to buy integrated circuits for weapons. And the story centers around Alexei Beryshev, okay, a Brooklyn resident, and Russian nationals, Dmitry and Alexei. And they're saying that the American posed as a technology entrepreneur, setting up front companies. And they have 2 companies here, and that these firms were designed to purchase integrated circuits, which were actually digital to analog converters, and although not the sort you'd expect to find in an audiophile's music room. And instead, they were components created by the military suppliers for use in satellites, radars, and missile guidance systems. So the sale and export of such technology is strictly regulated by the Department of Commerce, and to prevent it from falling into enemy hands. And the UIP and Spectra arranged deals with vendors using fake paperwork and lied about the reason behind the purchase. So crates of military tech were then sent to Finland before being sent on to Russia in order to conceal the package's true destination. The trio will make an initial appearance in court later today in New York City, and if found guilty of illegally exporting controlled technology, they'll face a jail term of up to 25 years and a fine of up to $1 million. Wow, 25 years in prison. And, I don't think this is Cold War-like. I mean, it would be completely ridiculous. We have security experts and cybersecurity experts on the show all the time. State-sponsored espionage and state-sponsored hacking is so common nowadays. Like, it's just something that happens. The U.S. tries to hack all of its allies and enemies, of course, whereas all of the U.S.'s allies and enemies try to hack the U.S. I mean, it's just a huge game of cat and mouse, trying to get each other's information and technologies and plans and schematics. I mean, it just happens. It's you're not going to stop it because it's so easy to conceal where it's actually coming from, and the amount of payoff that you get for the amount of work and investment that you get, it only makes sense. But to hear they put physical people in the U.S. They have a Russian a Russian. I'm just going off of his name, but he's a Brooklyn resident. Again, he is a citizen of the U.S. And then 2 Russian nationals who are trying to set up a shell corporation just to ship technology overseas to Russia. I mean, it sounds a little bit too much like Hollywood, but here we are. They're going to face court today and face up to 25 years in prison for sending over technology. Just crazy. If you're planning on doing the same, would highly advise you don't, because that is some severe punishments. So don't do that. Don't do that. All right. How about we move over to, this story. It's so reminiscent of what we've already covered in the past couple months, and like we said before, this wasn't the first time, and it wasn't going to be the last time when we were talking in reference to the San Bernardino shooters and their phone. If according to the information that we had on that story, they didn't really need to get into the phone. The phone had maybe tangential evidence. It had pictures of them. Like, they already had access to their personal phones, and they just wanted access to their business phones, a second phone, which they assumed had information, which in all honesty, it probably didn't, but they still wanted in. And then we had this long conversation. It led to Apple standing up to the Supreme Court and to the U.S. government and the FBI saying, hey, we will not build a backdoor into our iOS devices. And, it was a big thing. Apple taking a very public stance about what the FBI wanted them to do. And in retaliation, the FBI said, well, forget you guys. We don't need you. And they went over to Israel, hired a firm, and were able to hack into the iPhone using what we assume to be, less than legal means. Of course, it's that's just what security researchers do. They find holes in security, and they were able to get access to the phone. So turns out that it's happening once again, and this is from Engadget, Mr. Chris Valeska, saying that the FBI wants to crack another iPhone after a Minnesota stabbing. And of course, the question is, will they be able to? So the FBI and Apple might be headed for another fight in the case of a locked phone, saying that FBI special agent confirmed that the agency is trying to crack an iPhone belonging to a gentleman, a 20-year-old Somali immigrant who stabbed 10 people in a Minnesota mall last month. So Thornton said that the Bureau was already sifting through some 780 gigabytes of data from multiple computers and other electronic devices. But unlocking Adam's phone could shed valuable light on why he did and help figure out who helped him on his path. Although, to be honest, mass stabbing, that doesn't exactly sound like you need some kind of criminal, circuit to really tell you how to do that. That's running around with a knife. But at any rate, they're saying that but cracking the phone isn't a matter of course. The FBI is currently weighing its special and technical options to get inside the unspecified device, and a lot of FBI work here depends on what kind of iPhone they recovered. With the introduction of iOS 8 2 years ago, meant not even Apple could decrypt the content of a locked device running that software. And of course, they're saying that unlike our competitors, Apple cannot bypass your passcode and therefore cannot access this data. So it's not technically feasible for us to respond to government warrants for the extraction of this data devices in their possession running iOS 8. And of course, they say iOS 8 and above, since of course we are on iOS 10 at the moment. So still, that didn't stop the FBI cracking from the iPhone 5C that was owned by the San Bernardino shooters, who killed 14 people in late 2015. And of course, Apple resisted, as we mentioned before, and ultimately he didn't decide if the Bureau would reveal that crucial backdoor to Apple out of concern it would be closed. And again, that was the FBI Director James Comey, who said that he would not reveal how they did it. So while the FBI might still have that particular ace up its sleeve, the process for sifting through add-ins data might be way more difficult, saying that the phone that they recovered from the San Bernardino shooters lacked the secure enclave that was baked into the newer models with the A7 chipset and beyond. It's unclear at this point how much progress the FBI has made, or if they will try to get Apple to help them. But either way, it's not really in Apple's nature to come helping when the government comes and asks. So yeah, we have yet another situation where, they're saying that, hey, we really want into this phone. It might help us in this one case, but Apple is always on the side of, well, even if we help you this one time, if there's any situation where we unlock or decrypt or give you access to one phone, if they even had the means to do it themselves, the moment that they allow that backdoor to exist is the moment that their entire operating system has a massive vulnerability that not just government officials and not just police agencies, but also hackers and others trying to get into other people's phones. You leave that backdoor potentially vulnerable to them as well. So yeah, not the easiest thing in the world to do and not the easiest judgment call. But Apple has gotten a lot of thumbs up from security professionals for not just letting the government, the three-letter government agencies do that. So I think this next story, and we only have time for one more, and there are quite a few. That was a little video heavy. So I think we're gonna do this one, and they're saying that all right, and this is actually a good message because for all of you out there, did you know there was a hurricane, or there is a hurricane currently? Even as the show continues, Hurricane Michael, Matthew, Hurricane Matthew. That's it. Hurricane Matthew is making its way up the eastern coast of the U.S. And it's a big one. It's huge. It's massive. And here's a message from the FAA to all drone owners. And this comes from Ars Technica, but of course the FAA has a lot to say, saying that the FAA to drone owners, stay away from hurricane relief efforts and playoff games. So just in case you were planning to fly, don't. So the Federal Aviation Administration and the Academy of Model Aeronautics have issued a joint statement warning drone operators to not fly in the vicinity of Hurricane Matthew rescue and recovery operations by first responders, saying that any unauthorized drone or model aircraft operations that interfere with disaster relief efforts are subject to civil penalties of up to $32,000, or more specifically, $32,140 per violation, and possible criminal prosecution. And so while the FAA has not yet issued any temporary flight restrictions in Florida or other areas thus affected by Hurricane Matthew, nearly all of the population centers on the Florida East Coast are already covered by notification required restrictions for drones because of nearby airports, helipads, and national parks. So the FAA has also issued a notice classifying the location of any special sporting event, including Major League Baseball playoff games, NFL and NCAA football games, or any other sporting event at a location with a seating capacity of over 30,000 as national defense airspace, which bans all flights within 3 nautical miles. So don't even think about getting your drone anywhere near a football playoff game, saying that these areas are much smaller than the flight restrictions posted for last year's Super Bowl or even this year's Super Bowl, which was given a 32 nautical mile radius no-fly zone and covering practically all of the San Francisco Bay Area. Crazy. And again, what better place to do this than by Twitter? So the FAA took to Twitter saying that if you fly, they can't save lives. Flying drones around aircraft assisting Hurricane Matthew response efforts is dangerous and illegal. But yeah, this goes back to a conversation we have whenever we talk to avid drone flyers. I mean, we just had on um, Eric's drones, Eric's drones. We just had them on, and he made it very clear that
90 seconds.
the FAA has very specific rules, and you should abide by them, and you should definitely get your drone registered if it's over a certain weight. Definitely don't fly them in no-fly areas. Be a responsible drone pilot. That seemed to be the thrust of what he was trying to get at. Don't try to, beat the system or be that guy with that drone trying to get that good shot. I mean, there's going to be footage out there, and there's no reason that you have to be fined
60 seconds.
There we go. And there's no reason that you as an individual have to be fined $32,000 just because you want to fly your drone. Be responsible. And for everyone out there affected by Hurricane Matthew, I know I have a lot of friends down in South Florida that were, but they said it was pretty good. So, hoping for the best in this one. But if you're affected, stay safe, stay warm, and, again, hopefully everyone is okay. But that's it. We're here at Computer America, where we have the whole weekend off, and we hope to see all of you back here bright and early Monday afternoon. So, with that being said, thank you for tuning in. And if I can pull up the calendar real quick, there we go. On next Monday, tune in to listen to Antop Antenna and Adventure Quest, 2 great guests. You'll be able to hear them here on Computer America. See you then. Have a good weekend, folks. And for everyone else listening in on the YouTube portion of Computer America and the video portion, hopefully this weekend sometime we get the video portion really back up and running in earnest. It's going to be a lot of fun when we finally do. Really looking forward to it. And again, everyone, stay safe if you're on the East Coast. Stay safe if you're anywhere else. And have a great weekend. Bye, everyone.